the American dream is dead. But if I get elected president, I will bring it back bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much.
2016, year of the snake. It's time for a change in the White House, y'all. Bring it. If you want the real deal, then you gotta get a real leader. Want a real leader, then we need a real man.
Hello, Karen. Hello, my patriots. Click the share button. Let folks know we are live. I'm doing a late live, you guys. Cindy, how's it going? We're doing a late live. It's good for my folks on the West Coast. Give them a little break. That's my Carol. All my patriots checking in. Good evening, Jim. How's it going, Jim? Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you like having the right to bear arms? Protect your family? What about the ability to work a job? Have jobs available to workers? You know who we need?
His name starts with a D and a Trump ends with a Trump. We need more of him. More of him. Make America great again. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. You are watching the one and only Trump Talk US live in DC with Suzzanne Monk. I am Suzzanne Monk. We're 8 minutes away from our nation's beautiful capital. We are 15 minutes away from our president's beautiful White House. Chris McDonald is here. Yes, we can see you, Chris. He is representing Trump Talk US. Well, right now he's representing Chris McDonald, but representing Trump Talk US as Chris McDonald. So he will be here in the room, greeting all the patriots. Jem, hello. Zach, hello. Helen, hello. Deidre, hello. Oh, certainly. So, guys, I wanted to go live tonight. I didn't get to it a little earlier. I wanted to get live a little bit later tonight. Make sure that we get a few minutes in here to just talk about what's happening with this election, with the post-election season. Hello, Michael. Hello, Lee. How's it going? Lee Michael, my face. I'm calling it the postseason. Okay. I'm calling it the postseason of this election because clearly this election has a lot of postseason in it. Now, as we've seen, okay, over the last few weeks, since November 3rd, I think we're at November 23rd now. So for the past 20 days, we've seen a lot going on. And what we've been seeing is, and I'm going to bring up our little troll of the evening because this is exactly what we need to talk about. He says, democracy prevailed, Trump lost. But see, sweetie, Trump has not lost yet because we have a republic. We don't have a democracy. If you knew that, you would also probably be in the category of understanding why we are not yet, we haven't yet decided our election. Because see, we actually have a constitutional republic, and each and every state has to certify their individual results. Now, each and every state is responsible for the integrity of their elections and of their results. So as we're going forward, these several states that we see that have had multiple incidents, hundreds of affidavits of election fraud, many of them are not certified or not able to certify. The states that are moving forward and certifying, and we're going to talk about that as we go forward, are doing so upon fraudulent votes, which actually puts at risk those government officials who are authorizing that certification. So let's go back and just start again and talk a little bit about what happened. So of course, November 3rd, we all went to the polls or went to the polls earlier in the week. Some of us early voted. Some people mail-in voted, although not a lot of patriots mail-in voted. A lot of dead people mail-in voted. How's it going, Kevin? A lot of non-existent people, I think, even voted because there seems to be a lot of ballots in many places, more than there are registered voters in some states. So sometimes the same handwriting, the same one vote for Biden over and over and over. Just very curious what we're seeing. So we saw the election night. We saw the vote stopped in the middle of the night. We saw that big jump afterwards. We actually, if you start to look at the chart, there was a few times where they did ballot dumps. You can actually see them happen. And then you see the big, ballot dump, and a lot of problems start to come out after that. That's when we start to see poll watchers being refused to be allowed to watch the polls. We see Republican poll watchers being removed from the building. We see COVID protections being used to make the excuse to keep Republican poll watchers away, but not Democrat poll. Apparently, you can only get the COVID from a Republican, not I guess from Democrats can't get it from each other or something. I don't know. Maybe that's why they can all go to the protests and we can't go to the protests. Maybe it's a Republican virus, and that's what we'll have to check that out. We'll look at it and we'll see if we can figure that one out for you. So, as we have seen the last 3 weeks coming up on 3 weeks now, what has been going on in the process since then? Well, obviously, there are states that have had a difficulty to count. There are states that have done a recount. Georgia did a recount, but they just recounted the exact same. They didn't audit anything. They didn't actually rematch the signatures. They didn't re-engage in the process. And there continued to be a lot of pressure and pushback and keeping away of the Republicans in the process, in the observance. So additional fraud may have actually occurred in the recount there in Georgia. And so we're seeing a lot of lawsuit information, lawsuit evidence being gathered. That's what we've been basically doing over the last 3 weeks. Now, who is gathering the evidence? Well, one, obviously the Trump campaign is gathering evidence that is relevant to any lawsuits itself can bring. That means that there are when you file a lawsuit, you have to have some evidence of being harmed. We can't just all go filing lawsuits willy-nilly everywhere against people who didn't do anything to us. That's ridiculous, right? You have to actually have standing, legal standing, in the lawsuit. One of those ways that you have legal standing is you were actually harmed in the lawsuit. You were actually harmed by the action of the person that you are suing. So if there was slander, you say, oh, they slandered me. Okay, well, did anything happen to you? Did anything happen? Did they just call you a bad name, but nothing happened? You didn't lose any money. Nobody cared. Like, nobody even noticed. You can't just sue people for calling you a name. That's not, harm has to have occurred. So as the campaign, there's only certain kind of harm that can actually be to the campaign specifically. Other harm is to the voters. It's to people who participated in the election. That's why Lin Wood is filing a lawsuit. His lawsuit is being filed directly as a citizen in the state of Georgia. All right. Because as a voter in the state of Georgia, he is directly harmed by his vote being disenfranchised, being miscounted, being miscalculated, and being compromised by false and fraudulent votes being included in the overall tally. So that is why Lin Wood is filing a suit as a citizen in Georgia. Now, several of the other states are going to additionally have oh, you guys are all arguing on Periscope. Okay, sorry. Trolls are all arguing on Periscope. I don't even have to pay attention to that. I was like, you guys are starting to talk to each other. Well, okay, well, the Periscope trolls usually, Periscope people know how to, Periscope patriots know how to handle Periscope trolls. So, not worried about it. Not worried about it at all. You guys are fine. So, as the evidence gets gathered in other states, additional lawsuits are being filed. There are hundreds and hundreds of affidavits that have been gathered. Hundreds of affidavits in regards to poll workers, in regards to ballots that were not able to be contested. The poll worker said, I want to contest that ballot. And they were told no. They were told no. So this is the problem we're having. Now, all of that evidence is being gathered. Certainly, we are already seeing Lin Wood in the process of filing in Georgia. Other lawsuits are going to continue to be filed. As those lawsuits get filed, the process continues. Now, some states are going to even certify when the process. Now, here's the reality. Georgia can certify all at once. That's going to actually get pushed back. And I want to give a shout out to my patriot, Marjorie Greene, who is down there pushing back. She is pounding hard at the runoff election that is going on in the Senate. And that's why they're continuing to put a lot of pressure in Georgia and put a lot of pressure to certify quickly in Georgia so that they can move forward with this runoff election with the same systems in place. If what's proven is that Georgia used systems, and this is what's going to be proven in court, and so it's not even going to take that long to do it, and it won't matter because the runoff election is coming, is ahead in time. It's not like the Electoral College deadline, which is obviously coming up in December, but certainly what we're going to see is if the case against Georgia demonstrates that the equipment used was compromised either by a foreign entity or by a domestic entity in a way that prevented the integrity of the vote from occurring, prevented votes from being counted properly, flipped votes, added votes, whatever happened, if and when that's proven in court, that same software, that same system will be ineligible to be used in the runoff election. And so Georgia is going to have to do a lot to actually change its system. And that's why they're pushing back. They don't want to actually have to use an actual electoral system because, as we know, these folks have been cheating for decades. They've been cheating for decades. And now we're seeing how deeply they've been cheating, how consistently they've been cheating, and the methods with which they've been cheating. And we're certainly as we go forward, those methods are now going to become more and more defunct. As we know that the Dominion machines, as we know these voting machines are highly suspect, are highly accessible to manipulation, hacking, etc. In fact, the manipulation is being built into the systems. These systems are going to be able to be utilized. Future elections, they'll be able, the candidate, and this is where you need to understand, there's different law as it affects different people. The candidates will be able to sue early in the process if those machines are going to be used, because they're a known harm. They're a known factor, okay, of fraudulence. So the state will have knowingly established a system by which the election cannot be done properly. And so that harm has already occurred. By choosing the systems that have already been proven in court to be fraudulent and rife with fraud, you'll be able to sue and push back. So this is why Georgia is working so hard to certify quickly, because they all want to do the exact same thing. They all want to do what they've done every single election since forever. They want to certify the results before any thorough, rational challenge to the election comes up in court. And it's one of the difficulties we've seen in ending election fraud in the United States in all of our lifetimes, is that the legal process to rectify election fraud takes longer, in most circumstances, takes longer than it is to certify, finalize, and swear in the new elected person. So it's very difficult to reverse an election once someone has been sworn into office. That's a lot. That's very rarely done. It's not, I've never seen, I can't recall of a situation it's done. Usually they just then arrest the guy who's in office. They hold a special election to replace that person. So it's been very difficult to get through the legal process as regular citizens. As you know, a citizen is the one who has to sue if the election was fraudulent because they were the ones whose vote was disenfranchised. It's very difficult for that lawsuit to go up fast enough. Now, here's the thing. Usually that's in one state or another state. And even if you did go ahead with the lawsuit, would that actually prevent the vote from being certified? Would that actually prevent the electors from being seated? Even if it did, would that actually prevent the president from being chosen? Wouldn't he get enough electoral college votes already? These are the reasons we don't have a lot of lawsuits in the past, because the scope of the fraud lawsuits, the scope of addressing the fraud through lawsuits has been singular. It has been in this state or that state, and certainly not widespread enough to have an impact on the whole election. Well, this year is different. 100%. Because we actually see in many states legal action being taken both by the campaign and by individual citizens who are, let's say friendly with the campaign. Okay. And we're going to talk about the statement that the president put out, friendly with the campaign. And so certainly those individuals are able to work together to, they were able to work together to create an end result, which is widespread lawsuits against the widespread voter fraud that is then demonstrating not just voter fraud in this state or that state, but a pattern of voter fraud implemented by Democrats in Democrat states, often are the ones using these systems, by even Brian Kemp in Georgia. We have real issues over there. You have to start looking at who bought into these Dominion systems. Who did they talk to? How were they negotiated? What did they know about the Dominion systems before they actually signed on with this equipment being used in their state? a lot of questions to be asked, but certainly those questions will come into play as the lawsuits move forward. Now, the two things that are going to happen now that usually don't happen. Two things are going to happen now that usually don't happen. One, these lawsuits are going to be widespread. As I said, there are lawsuits in several states already. Thus, the exact similar accusations of the same modus operandi used in Michigan, used in Wisconsin, used in Arizona, used in Georgia, used in Pennsylvania, the same voting machines and systems, the same preventing poll workers from observing the ballots, same, very similar processes. So we're going to see those patterns. Those patterns are going to move up very quickly through a very well-stocked court system. The president has put in, I believe at this point, it was like 2 years ago, it was 180 judges. I'm sure it's come up since then because he's continued to be appointing judge. That was just the empty spots that Obama had left for the president. So we now see the Ninth Circuit Court having a much different balance than it did when President Obama left office. We see many of the courts having a much different balance. Now, the state courts, obviously, much of those states, and if they're in blue states or if they're in states where there is blue leadership, I mean, I don't think Pennsylvania is a very blue state, to be honest. But you have Philadelphia, you have Pittsburgh, you have a very blue governor, and you have thus very blue leadership. It's a lot like Virginia. If you get into Virginia, past Northern Virginia, wow, it's a lot of rednecks, okay? And I mean Republican rednecks. That being said, there's pockets where the urban liberals have basically amassed enough voting capacity and maybe ability to steal the elections as well, because we've been doing it every year. Every year, I'm telling you, every single year there is voter fraud. There's never not voter fraud. Every single election in your lifetime, there has been voter fraud. Thank you, Boston T. I appreciate it. So what you are seeing is cases that are now going to go up past those state courts. So yes, the Pennsylvania judge, everybody's freaking out about this. The Pennsylvania case, the judge ruled against the Trump administration. The judge ruled against the Trump administration. So, I'm going to just media, sweetie, media critic. I'm actually broadcasting on like 5 different platforms right now. So I really don't care how many viewers are on Periscope. It's mostly you idiot lefties that argue with each other and a few rational patriots who are willing to deal with your boring misconceptions over and over again. So don't worry, you're fine. Where we're going to see something different happen, obviously, the breadth of the lawsuits all across the country, but the quickness of the lawsuits, going up through the courts is going to certainly be, and being filed is going to certainly be different. Now, I know everyone's like, but it's been already 3 weeks, Suzzanne. Why are we? Because in order to build that lawsuit, you have to actually gather, yes, Lisa, we're live, gather ample evidence. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on this week. We're going to see also the timing around the holidays is critical. Filing things in a specific way. You have to trust the lawyers who know law, okay? They know the system. They know when it's best to file cases. They know when it's best to move forward and move quickly and when not to move quickly. So you don't want to move quickly in the evidentiary gathering phase. You want to gather as much evidence as possible. But once you have a body of evidence, and as we've seen in Sidney Powell's multiple interviews, she certainly does have quite a body of evidence. Then you come to court. You come to court, boom. Boom. You don't come to court with a little spindly tree. You come to court with a mighty oak. of evidence to present. And so this is what is being done. Now, this is why you need to continue to have faith. You need to continue to have faith in the process, in part because the Constitution is very specific in what needs to happen going forward in regards to the electoral process. So we don't have any worries, all right? In fact, if you all recall, on the Bush-Gore election, that's what ruined the whole thing. Everyone was so panicked. Everything was so panicked. Ron, I'll answer that question in a second. We need to know because the country is so, they don't know, they're undecided. I actually think it's better that the media, a lot of people are mad because the media has decided to name Joe Biden as the winner. I actually think it's better that they've named Joe Biden as the winner. One, because it is outed the media as, it is actually implicated. It's not that outed isn't the proper word. Implicated, legally implicated the media, several outlets of the media, in misrepresenting the results of the election in a way that could, in fact, manipulate the election. That being said, it's kept everybody, unlike Bush versus Gore, it's kept half of the country calm. All right. The other half of us have been very active and very busy. And so we don't see the same kind of, oh, we don't know. Well, because half the country is being told falsely that Joe Biden is the winner, despite being unable to state that other than, media projections. So it is different in that way, I will say. It is different in that way. However, how it's not different is the fact that it will end up in the Supreme Court. I wanted to ask Ronald's question. Ronald, yes, it will end up, this case will end up in the Supreme Court. At the very minimum, the Pennsylvania case is going to do that because the Pennsylvania case, one, was already in the courts. Okay. And we are still working on that information, the one, whether or not these these extended ballots are actually going to be able to be counted. So Pennsylvania is already been in the courts. It will be back in the courts. I guarantee you, now that Georgia has attempted to certify the results, that is going to end up in the court as well. In some states, for example, in Arizona, Richard Grinnell has been out in Arizona working with the election fraud there. Some of those cases are not able to be filed until Arizona certifies. So while everyone's freaking out, oh my God, they certified Georgia. What does that mean? Oh no. Some of the legal action has to be taken after the vote is certified because it's not final until it's certified, unless you can't say my vote was stolen if they're still counting votes, because you'll be like, well, you don't know that. We're still counting votes. So everyone needs to, all of the folks on the Trump side that are worried, that are concerned, that are freaking out, need to calm down. Okay. We have so much ground to cover, and all of that ground is in our favor. The Democrats have nothing but the continued lie. If any of that evidence gets information and evidence that gets through the legal process, gets up to the Supreme Court, we're going to see states be invalidated. The whole state elections, counties, and potentially whole states be invalidated. I would not be surprised if the Pennsylvania results get invalidated entirely. I would not be surprised. I will not be surprised. Jeff, this is what I'm saying to you. As you are, listen, they've had several states. Michigan tried to certify. They've threatened them, et cetera, et cetera. They're trying to certify. What you need to understand is that some of the lawsuits have to be done once the vote is certified. That's just the way it is. It's a system designed to actually keep people from being able to use the law to protect themselves from election fraud. But unfortunately for the criminals and the vote thieves, we have Donald Trump. We have Donald Trump who understands legal action. He understands how to get the best lawyers. He understands how to put those legal teams together, and how to use legal timing appropriately. So You know, so let's just scroll a minute because I've been ignoring questions mostly because trolls, but also because I've just been talking and not paying attention. Yes, Ronald, the Trump team will definitely succeed because all of the laws on our side. The fraud was obvious and it's clearly going to be demonstrated in court. Lisa says the downside is they will be more violent. The left may be more violent. They're going to be violent anyway. If you notice, they're still mad. Like, this is how you know they've lost. They're still mad. They're still mad. It's weird, but there it is. Yeah, Tony, traps have been set, but not all the traps have been sprung. And Tony, that's what I'm saying. Some of the traps involve certifying the vote. Definitely. Good point. Wonderful, Tracy. Tracy listening from the Eastern Shore. Okay, so we're going to answer your question, media critic. We're going to answer you. If Trump won, was it fraud? Listen to me. This is a really simple question because you guys don't, for some reason, you people on the left play this game like it's a game. Like, well, if you do it, I can do it. What if we do it? Then you do it. That has nothing to do with that. All right? If votes were stolen, if dead people voted, okay, if machines flipped votes in directions they were not supposed to flip them, okay, if votes were counted that were fake votes, whoever is the winner, though, that should not happen. Do you want Biden to have won based on fake votes? Is that okay for you? Because the corollary to this question, you say, well, if Trump won, was it fraud? Then are you willing to, what you're basically asking me is, am I willing to accept fraud if Trump is the victor? If I get the outcome I want, is fraud okay? No. But for some reason to you guys, it is. Because you don't want to investigate the fraud. That's what I don't understand. That's what I find so crazy. You guys are literally saying, since Biden won, there was no fraud. None of those things you're saying that were obvious fraud, that were obvious problems, matter because Biden won. How can you stand there and say it is totally okay for Republican poll watchers to be kept from looking at the votes and actually think that your candidate won fair and square? You guys are the ones who don't care if it's fraud, not us. You guys are the ones. You're happy that it's fraud. You don't care how you got this victory. That's why it's going to be taken from you, because it's not real. I don't want fraudulent elections. I want it fixed, not just for Trump, but for every generation from now until the end of time. I'm tired of decades of fraud on both sides being used by Republicans and Democrats to continue to control who holds what office. Your partisanship is going to be the death of you. And you keep thinking that the partisanship is us because I wear this hat and I like President Trump. But in reality, the reason I like President Trump and I wear this hat is because I want to fix the country that has been divided by partisanship like yours. Let's see what else we have. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, very interesting. Thank you, Ronald. Facebook changed Biden's status from president-elect to politician on its page. Well, that's because they can get sued under the executive order that President Trump signed in 2018. If any media company is misrepresenting the election, their American assets can be seized. So. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, we are going to crush our conservative sodas is going to come through, and they're just waiting. Well, yes, Jim, that's 100%. That's one of the main reasons we made sure we did put our judges in place, and certainly it's going to make a huge difference. Tracy, Trump is definitely going to win. I can't tell you enough times. Don't worry about it. Not only is Trump going to win, but decades of election fraud is going to be outed and changed from this moment forward. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Jeff, no problem. Jeff says, I understand a little better now. My anxiety has been through the roof because I love this country and never wanted to become socialist. But thank you very much. And surely as much fraud that it happened, it couldn't have all been hidden. Well, not. It hasn't been. It's been obvious. It's very, very obvious. Dun, dun, dun. These folks, they say crazy things. They do not care how Biden won as long as Trump is gone. That's the plan. But they, unfortunately, are still beholden to the Constitution. They are still beholden to the rule of law. And we'll see this. And we will definitely see this. Do you think that Georgia will have the nerve to try and steal the senatorial? Yeah, they're going to try to do that. But there's a lot of folks down there making sure that doesn't happen. So, okay. We're going to put Bob Cuddy's question up. He says, where is your evidence? If you have no evidence, STFU. One, I'm not Sidney Powell, okay? But you're going to see the evidence. And that's what's going to be sad for you guys. That you want to literally avoid even questioning some very obvious concerns. When I hear in Philadelphia, in Pittsburgh, in Detroit, across the country, in major cities, Republican poll watchers not being allowed to watch the votes, I get concerned. I'd be concerned if the same was happening to Democrats. Frankly, I was concerned back in the 2000 election because I didn't vote for George Bush. You guys, I was concerned. I was concerned when Obama was stealing the primary election from Hillary Clinton in 2008. I was concerned. I was actually, as a Trump supporter even, concerned to watch the Democrats steal that election, that primary, from Bernie Sanders. The voter fraud has to stop. It doesn't matter what party it is. It doesn't matter what results it accomplishes. It accomplishes we're not free. That's what it accomplishes. We're slaves. It accomplishes American enslavement, not American citizenship. Simple. Simple. There's ample fraud. There's ample fraud. I love you guys. There's zero proof. It's darlings. This is what's so stupid. When George W. Bush and Al Gore held that election, you all screamed about election fraud. I know because I was one of you. Okay, you screamed about it. You screamed about the counties where more people voted than there were registered voters. You screamed about the ridiculous statistical anomalies in regards to how many people had voted. You screamed about the mail-in, the absentee ballots getting thrown out. You screamed about it. Okay, we all sat and looked through little pieces of paper down in Florida and looked for little pieces of hanging Chad. So don't tell me, oh, there's no fraud. There's never any fraud. There's no evidence of fraud. There's fraud every single election. You only don't want to look at it when it's your win. It's shameful. Y'all should seriously go home, hide in your covers, pray to whatever God you pray to for forgiveness for being such a vile human being. That you would literally, rather than have an honest election, you would go around and tout the words democracy when you don't want a democracy. You want a meocracy. Whatever I want, and everybody who agrees with me, I just want that. And anything that doesn't agree with me, I don't care how we get rid of it. I don't care what crimes we commit. I don't care what fraud occurs. I don't care who gets trampled. I don't care who gets beat up. I don't care how many elderly people get smacked in the face. I don't care. They don't agree with me. They deserve it. You're fascists. You should be in jail or getting the mental help that you need to realize that there's something seriously wrong with forcing your ideology on people in that way. That is not a democracy. Don't use the D word. Don't use the R word. You do not have a democracy in your mind or a republic in your mind. You have a fascist state. You have a totalitarian state. You're a mental dictator. And many of you on the left, this is what you do. You're mental dictators. So, yes, and this is the thing that you folks, we're going to put media critic up just because I want you guys to see what they're doing. Because what's happening with this election, with the media, with all of this, they are continuing to spread misinformation. Here's the misinformation they're spreading now. Even Trump gave up. That's the lie they're having. Oh, Giuliani has gotten obliterated in court because of the Pennsylvania case. Oh, baby. See, here's why you're dumb. This is why you're going to lose. That's a state court. Okay? It then gets appealed. It goes up. District Supreme Court. So getting obliterated by a Obama-appointed judge in Pennsylvania is actually what we want. Do you understand that? Do you not understand that? If they had given us what we want in Pennsylvania, the case wouldn't need to go any further, and it wouldn't have had national implications. Okay? But if it goes up to the Supreme Court, and if other circumstances are similar in other states. In other words, if other states have filed, pay attention to what I'm saying because this is really important. If other states have filed legal action to their state and cases are currently in filing in their state or in filing in appeals in their state with similar factors, similar bits of evidence, similar accusations, those cases will get bundled and the Supreme Court will take them as a whole. And the decision that's made on the Pennsylvania case will then immediately apply, not just it will apply, but it would apply also to those directly in the legal filing to all of those states that had been brought in. So the action that the Supreme Court takes on Pennsylvania can and will have an effect on other states, depending on how the lawsuits are brought in their timing. This is why timing is so important. This is why timing is so important. This is why we need to be patient. I agree, Jed. This is what's so funny. Come on, even Ray Charles could clearly see the cyberfront. That is correct. Gabriel Moreno, no one conceded. Let's here. I want to just we're gonna do this little. Let's go over here. Let's go over here. No one. Yeah. Here we go. 12 minutes ago, the president tweeted, and I quote, "What does GSA being allowed to preliminarily work with the Dems have to do with continuing to pursue our various cases on what will go down as the most corrupt election in American political history? We are moving full speed ahead. Will never concede," and I quote, "will never concede to fake ballots and Dominion." The president did not concede. 12 minutes ago, he posted, "will never concede to fake ballots and Dominion." I want to thank Emily Murphy at GSA for her steadfast dedication and loyalty to our country. She has been harassed, threatened, and abused, and I do not want to see this happen to her, her family, or employees of GSA. Our case strongly continues. We will keep up the good fight, and I believe we will prevail. Okay. Oh, they're going to do what they need to be done to do for the initial protocols. Okay. You know why that's happening? So the president cannot be accused legally of stalwarting the process and thus putting the country in danger. Pay attention, you guys. Pay attention. It's just not that hard. 23 hours ago, yesterday, in certain swing states, there were more votes than people who voted in big numbers. Does that not really matter? Stopping poll watchers, voting for unsuspecting people, fake ballots, and so much more. Such egregious conduct. We will win. Guys, the president's not caving. The left can say whatever they want. It's their continued game. But we know the game. We're not falling for the game. No one's paying attention to the game. No one's participating in the game. So no Gabriel Marino and Media Critic and my little lefty trolls over there on Periscope. President didn't concede. He just literally said 12 minutes ago he will never concede to fake ballots and Dominion. And his lawsuits continue. You guys are so stupid. It pains me. It pains me that we have to actually have these conversations with you, because this little book, if you'd have just read this little tiny book a few times, rather than listen to your radical leftist professors who continue to give you false information about collectivist ideologies that repeatedly have failed in history and have turned humans into slaves every single time. I don't know why liberal professors continue. I mean, does it get you laid? Is it girls? Is it lack of girls? I don't know. I don't understand what makes these liberal professors continue to tout this ultimately totalitarian ideology again and again and again. But here we are. Penny, I agree. This is a good question. Why hasn't Kamala given up her Senate seat? I also have wondered that. I feel like if she had really won, they know they didn't win. This is why they're still in here mad. This is why they're still in here trolling. This is why they're still in there all upset, because they know they didn't win it. And you know what? If you live in a blue city, thank you, Red. If you live in a blue city, you know this for yourself. Okay, you can see it for yourself. You're experiencing it. You can see your Democrats. I live right here in DC. Okay, you can see your Democrats. They're not happy. They were happy the day that it was announced. They went around waving their flags. They actually had found some American flags. It was kind of interesting. So that was, there was that little bonus. But since then, they've been kind of morose. They've been kind of mopey. They've been kind of, they're just not happy. Why? Why aren't you happy? Why aren't you happy? Huh. Because you didn't win. So they're going to find out. They will find out. All right. Good night, Boston Tea. I know, Ronald. How in the world can anybody think that a man with cognitive decline gets more votes than any candidate in American history? It's insane to believe. I mean, they'll find out. They'll find out how insane it is. So I'm just scrolling. Amparo, if you go read the president's tweets, I don't understand what to tell you guys. If you're not following the president on Twitter, because we just read this, the case strongly continues. But in order to prevent being accused of endangering the safety of the United States, okay, the president doesn't want to put himself in a position where he is preventing the peaceful transition from occurring, so that he can be accused of putting the United States in danger, right? He doesn't want to make it his fault. So you keep going. But at least the lawsuits keep going, okay? You follow the process. So, scrolling. Oh, sweetie, I gotta just put this up. I love when somebody who's literally calls themselves God loves abortions tells me that I don't live in reality. Sweetie, you are the one I pity so badly. And I'm not even as pro-life as many of my friends. They're much more radically pro-life than me. I'm probably more leaning in the other direction towards you, and yet I still think you're absolutely crazy to suggest that God loves abortions. Okay? God does not love death. That's just stupid. That's just stupid to say. You're literally obviously doing that to be hateful to a group of people, and you're so willing to be hateful that you're willing to embrace the death of something, whether you think it's a human being or a body of cells. You can't change the fact that you are taking something that would be alive and is now not alive. And You're so excited. You are living living out of reality that you think God, the creator of all things, would like that. Moon Princess Halation. I'm sure you have like 12 friends. I can't wait for you to come back and get it rubbed in when Trump wins and the fraud is outed and your heroes are actually in jail. So you want to come back? Let's make an agreement. You come on back whenever we're done, whichever way it is. You come back and we'll do the I told you so thing. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Gotham Night. I'm on 5 platforms right now. Just gonna point that out. So, yeah, I know, Red. This is a good question. Why is nobody speaking about the arrest warrant that was issued for Biden from Ukraine the other day? And the ongoing problems with the Ukraine case in regards to Hunter and his involvement in Burisma, etc. Correct. So, wow, lots of ridiculous. Oh, guess what? I forgot. I can just do this. I can just block you guys over here because we're just gonna block a few YouTube trolls because they're just stupid. I mean, they're just really stupid. They don't even have good trolls on YouTube. It's really kind of pathetic. So, just get rid of a few, catch up. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, Penny, it always is saying so many of these animal lovers, but they willingly support killing of baby humans. I never want to tell you this. I know cells on Venus. This is Luciano. They will call cells on Venus life, put a baby in the womb. It's Fuba Slayer. Have you heard any part of the rest of the show? Did you just pop in here and try to troll? Okay, and try to troll because he has okayed. In other words, he has not resisted the process that he is responsible for to enact his part of the process while the legal challenge. Did you read the president's tweets? See, we talked about all of this. This is why it's sad. You guys, you trolls are just kind of sad. Just kind of sad. Fupas, let's put you up because we'll play a few little trolls for a minute. I guess you don't keep up with the tweets. So let's read it again. Let's read the president's tweet again. What does the GSA being allowed to preliminary work with the Dems have to do with continuing to pursue our various cases on what will go down as the most corrupt election in American political history? We are moving full speed ahead. We will never concede to fake ballots and Dominion. Did you not keep up with that? That was now 22 minutes ago. Is your news older than that? Y'all keep up. When y'all catch up, you let me know. When y'all catch up, you let me know. It's just absolutely ridiculous. There we go. So let's talk about a few more things. Thanksgiving shutdowns going around across the country. You guys, we should have known this coming. I'm just furious with everybody. I got to be honest. I'm just fed up and done with everybody who's tolerating any of these shutdowns whatsoever, that you guys are still wearing your masks, that you guys are still roaming around, allowing businesses to be shut down, allowing bars to have these regulations, that no one has stormed the freaking capitals of your states and demanded freedom by literally tarring and feathering your governors. I know there was the fake attempt to kidnap Whitmer that everybody's like, oh, but Suzzanne, don't tell anybody to tar. My point is this. Why are we tolerating an utter constitutional violation over and over? and over and over. Why are we tolerating that? And why would these fools who voted for Biden be excited about more shutdowns when we know it hasn't worked before? Well, that's because what they've continued to do is lie to you. And I told everybody that they were going to lie to you. I told everybody was like, oh, if Biden wins, the virus is going to be over. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, oh yeah, because it's only because to fight Trump. I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah, it's about the election. No, it's not. It's designed to impose global communism. And it's doing it very effectively in many other countries. It's kind of not doing bad here because you guys keep falling for it. You keep ignoring the fact that they're not even telling you how many people have died. They're not even telling you how many people have died. They're not even telling you hospital capacity. We literally started this back in March, 2 weeks to slow the spread so that we're not overwhelming. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Remember flattening the curve? So we don't overwhelm the hospitals. Have the hospitals been overwhelmed one time? Watch my head say no. No. No hospitals have been overwhelmed at all. The curve was flat. The curve was flat. All right, let's bring up this troll. We'll bring this up. We've never really shut down, and now 275,000 people have died. No, they haven't. Not of COVID. You know why? Because 0 people died of the flu this year. Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? Usually thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people. In fact, let's look it up. Let me just look it up for a second. 2018 U.S. flu deaths. $79,400 people died from the flu in 2018. 79,000. 80,000 people died from the flu in 2018. You know how many people died from the flu in 2019? In 2020? In 2020, you know how many people died from the flu? None. They all died of COVID. So now we're down to what? 195? Okay. Well, are we going to remove all of the deaths where COVID was not the cause, but yet was listed on the death certificate so that the hospitals could get relief funds? Are we going to list those? What about the baby? I believe it was in New Hampshire that was a SIDS death. No COVID present. It was called a COVID death. The governor actually called it a COVID death, had to rescind his own statement when the parents came out and said that's absolutely inaccurate. What about the gentleman? I have friends. Well, I can introduce you to actual people whose elderly family member has died this week. Had tested negative for COVID 4 times in the prior weeks. Did not have COVID at the time of death. Was told that the cause of death listed is going to be COVID. Are we going to remove those numbers? At all? Any of that? Are we going to accept the fact that the places that shut down the most, Lily? New York, New Jersey, DC, Chicago. These are the places that actually have had the highest cases. Some of the places that were the most shut down have had the highest cases. 85% of the new cases are people who wear masks the entire time. So shutting down didn't work. There is no evidence whatsoever that shutting down prevented the spread of the virus whatsoever. And yet you want to do it again because you're being told some random number of people have died that you won't verify. And when we ask you to verify, when we ask you to actually look at the CDC, when they've now divided numbers of COVID causal deaths and COVID present deaths, when we've actually shown you that those are two different numbers, you keep using the present death number over and over and over. Okay. This is why we don't trust you guys. This is why we don't believe you are capable of making the kind of decisions necessary, the kind of scientific information. You're not capable of absorbing it in a way and understanding it in a way that actually makes you capable of making a decision, like whether or not the government should have the authority to do that. You know why we have the Constitution? Because our founders knew that some of you would grow up this stupid. Our founders knew that some of you would grow up this stupid, that you didn't understand that the government could lie to you and would manipulate you for power. That's why we enumerated the powers of the government, so that they can't just trick you with these little lies and enslave you immediately. Unfortunately, most of you didn't bother to read that. And so we're busy trying to teach it to you again, while at the same time trying to deal with the ridiculous crises you've allowed to occur, constitutional crises, crises of liberty, and crises of health that you've allowed to occur, because now we continue to have people who are not getting medical treatment for regular things because we continue to restrict regular access. We have businesses that are being driven out of business. You know, the Guitar Center is filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy because of the COVID shutdowns. Did you? Yeah, because nobody can buy guitars. Because the bands and equipment that is necessary, that usually use those facilities, use a business like Guitar Center, they're not buying anything because there's no gigs. You know, 174 million people have been added to the starvation rolls this year. Do you know how many more people are going to starve in the third world because of the shutdowns you guys have put in place today? And yet we still have people like this who come on to my post and say, the public education system has failed me. You have no critical thinking skills. I believe you're suffering from paranoid personality. Okay. The public education system has failed you because you don't understand what the Constitution is. You don't understand what I'm saying. And you literally go around randomly diagnosing people with buzzwords you heard in a pop psych mag, but you can't actually critically think about the topic at hand. That's why we got to the situation we're in. Just sad. It's just sad. It's just sad. Yeah, sweetie, we did shut down though. And here's the thing. I'm sorry, one of our little trolls, but we never really shut down. Here's the thing. Let's just pull this guy up. Deadstream, sweetie, I actually graduated and have graduate level work from Ivy League universities. I'm a member of Mensa with a 185 IQ. So that's why we block idiots like you. Because if you do not understand, if that level of intelligence isn't obvious to you, you're literally at, I like money. Idiocracy was a movie made not for you, but about you. Let's block that. So, trolls, that's just the way they are. That's just the way they are. That's just the way they are. So, yeah, this is a crazy person. We're going to block that person together. Reconnect. Reconnecting. Great. Oh, that's so much fun. All right. So here's what I'm going to recommend when it comes to these Thanksgiving shutdowns. Don't do them. Just resist. Just do what you want to do. Just have as many people over as you want to have over. If the government comes to shut you down, take your ticket and go sue. The only way we're going to get through this process, the only way we're going to get our Constitution back is through the rule of law. And that means one of two things. One, all of us pushing back enough to where they can't stop all of us. And that's happened in California. Thank you, Marita. Good to see you. That's happened with the beaches in California. It's happened in many places with these shutdowns. People, massive crowds have just made it impossible to enforce. One way. Secondarily, let them ticket you and then sue them to prove the unconstitutionality of their shutdowns. In other words, by being harmed, it's just like we were talking about with the election, with the lawsuits for the election. By being harmed, you then have legal standing. You then have legal standing in order to file the lawsuit. And there you go. And there you go. So just do what you want. Eat, drink, have a good time. Don't buy into it. Now, it's unfortunate a lot of businesses are going to be shut down. There's a lot of places where the businesses are going to be deeply affected. Sorry to hear that. We have to continue to push back. We have to continue to try to prevent the destruction of our economy. But the best way to do that, you guys, is for President Trump to get reelected. So what can we do? Let's finish this up. What can we do to help? What can we do to help? Well, number one, there's going to be a big gathering here December 12th. A lot of patriots will be coming in from out of town. By showing huge numbers, we continue to show support for the ongoing process. We also continue to demonstrate that we're not going to stand down and go quietly into the night. Pretty straightforward. 2, write the president a letter. As we've talked about in previous shows, write the president a letter. Let him know you want him to continue to stand up for the process. So important. 3, share real information. Share real information. Go to OANN, go to Newsmax, go to Gateway Pundit, go to Breitbart. Share this information. Share the information being shared by Sidney Powell, Lynn Wood, Rudy Giuliani. Share that information. Continue to share the actual information with other patriots. Continue to keep other patriots calm. And then here, you guys, it's the week of Thanksgiving. This is the week. It's the week of Thanksgiving. Enjoy yourselves. Drink some wine. Blaze TV, you're right, Zach. That's a good choice. Zach says Blaze TV as well. You're right. Glenn Beck has been on it, and I'm happy he's back in the mix. So have some time to relax. Watch a movie. Watch something that doesn't have any of these older pedophiles in it. Just relax a little bit. Take a break. We can always get back after Thanksgiving. Once our bellies are full, we'll jump right back into it. We'll get back. We'll be ready for the rally. There'll be a lot going on in that week, and we're going to see a lot of action going on in that week when it comes to the lawsuits. But in reality, all we can do is kind of pace ourselves, stay calm, continue to listen to other patriots who are also calm. If you're in a battleground state like Georgia, there's a lot of work to be done there. Get involved with the local groups, the Stop the Steal groups, the groups that are pushing back, the recount folks recounting, etc. This is what we can do to help. But that being said, if you don't keep yourself relaxed, you let yourself get freaked out, you become more and more vulnerable to the pressure they want to put on for the president to concede. And we don't want that. What we want you to do is feel calm and prepared for the long haul over the next several weeks as we're going through the legal process that will, in fact, result in the election not being overturned because it hasn't been decided, but being decided for the president-elect who legitimately won this election. So, patience. We got this. We got this. Oh, you guys with the reverse Kraken. I can't with you. They're the reverse Kraken. There's no such thing as a reverse Kraken. You obviously didn't watch the movie that has the Kraken in it. Okay? There's only one thing. You need Medusa's head. There's nowhere you can't reverse the Kraken. All you can do is feed it a virgin, then it'll go back, or you can bring Medusa's head. If you guys knew Greek history, if you watch the movies, you'd know this. You need Medusa's head so you can turn the Kraken to stone, and that's how you get the victory. There's no reverse Kraken. It is what it is. It is what it is. So, you guys, we're going to be back again on Wednesday. Continue to be patient. Continue to be peaceful. We're not going to do shows probably Thursday and Friday. We're going to relax. I'm going to encourage everybody to relax. I'll probably do a short show. Maybe I'll just do something musical or something on Wednesday. We just need to maybe just pace ourselves down a little bit. Everything's going to be okay. Write a letter to the president tomorrow. Enjoy yourself. Get some sunshine. Have a nice hot cup of hot cocoa. In the end, we'll win. All is well. Trust. Have faith. Pray if you don't. That'll always help. Until next time, you guys, this has been your girl, Suzzanne Monk. Thanks for tuning in late. Until next time, I'm trumping out.